Good morning. It is just about 6:30 in the morning and we have made it to the ferry port to head to the Isle of Wight. The Present History Summer Tour starts here. Our first day on the island is going to be a little bit of an adventure, a little bit of an unknown. We're going to tell the story of the Isle of Wight, looking deep into where it came from and who were the first people to inhabit it. We're going to be looking at the earliest history of the Isle of Wight today in this video. So, here we go. The Present History Summer Tour Isle of Wight 2023 starts now. God, I cannot wait. It's so misty down here today. Driving down the whole way was proper misty. Look, I mean, look at that behind me. You can't even see into the distance. It's so misty down here today. And a little bit windy. But I feel like these are good conditions to explore the Isle of Wight. Let's go. So, after a brief day of exploring the Isle of Wight and checking out the area, I've come to the hotel. I've got myself all checked in, had a shower, got myself settled in. And so I think it's about time that we start to dive deep into the history of this island. Where did this island come from? Who were its first inhabitants? And why is it called the Isle of Wight? So the actual island itself was formed at the end of the last ice age. As the ice began to melt, the river valley of the Solent was flooded and what would become the English Channel was flooded, and that cut off this area of land from the rest of England, creating what we now know as the island of the Isle of Wight. Its first inhabitants came from a similar time period. As the ice began to recede, the climate got better, hunter-gatherers migrated over to the Isle of Wight. It wasn't long before nomadic traders and merchants began to use the island as a seaport to actually trade with the Middle East. This was during the Neolithic era, with wheat becoming its primary export. In the period between the Neolithic era and the Roman era, Britain became a hub of migration, and the Isle of Wight was no different. A number of Iron Age hoards have actually been found, suggesting that people were coming from all over the place to come and settle in the Isle of Wight. So where does the name Isle of Wight come from? Well, there are many theories as to where Isle of Wight came from, and loads of different languages from all its different inhabitants played a part in creating what we now call the Isle of Wight. One of the island's primary names was the Isle of Vectus, used by the Romans in their histories and reports of invasions and settling on the island. The Celtic language, the Welsh language, the Germanic language, and Latin all had very similar words used to describe this island, all of which meant different variations of small, daughter, friend, and so we can suggest that the name the Isle of Wight came to mean little companion or little friend, which I think is a perfect name for a little island off the coast of England. England's little companion. So when the Romans finally arrived, they settled here, but they didn't actually build any towns, just a number of villas. And with these villas came impressive vineyards. The soil was easy to plough and the climate was much nicer and much warmer than it is today. So it was perfect conditions for the Romans to plant some of their iconic vineyards. By the late 4th or 5th centuries AD, the Romans had left Britain and the Isle of Wight. And so from the Romans, we come up to the Jutes and the Anglo-Saxons. But we're going to save that history for another video because we have some pretty exciting places that we want to visit in order to tell this history. So stay tuned to find out more about the timeline of the history of the Isle of Wight. So it has been a fantastic day today. As you saw earlier, it was incredibly misty coming into the Isle of Wight this morning. It was almost, you couldn't even see through it. You couldn't see the cars coming ahead. So sometimes it got a little bit dicey, but other than that, it was absolutely fine. The journey in was fantastic. We also had a little bit of rain as the day progressed, but it really wasn't a big deal. It's been a good first day here on the island, and I cannot wait for day 2, where we're going to properly explore some historical sites. It's going to be awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you like this video and subscribe so you never miss any of the content that's coming out of Present History's Summer Tour 2023. We'll see you in the next one.